Cal, our chronicler of life, not just in Lviv, but in Ukraine. Tell us what today has ushered in.
So I think day 13, and we've arrived at this point where we arrive in any conflict where things other than violence are starting to kill people. Last night we heard from the president, and he talked about this little girl who died in the city of Mariupol out of dehydration. She hadn't had water in 6 days, he said. While we cannot independently verify that information, we are hearing these stories now from the eastern part of the country where these cities have been under siege, where it is not just the explosions that are starting to kill civilians. It is the cold. It is the lack of electricity, is the lack of water. It is the living conditions are now becoming unlivable. The shelling is continuing around the country. In the north, you mentioned Sumy, a huge day there. 5,000 civilians got out in one of those quote-unquote humanitarian corridors. That is really the first time we've seen success on that level since the war began. The opposite is true, again, in that port city of Mariupol, where there was supposed to be a humanitarian corridor leading to Ukraine and not Russia, and it was unable to ever be opened because the shelling there continued. The United Kingdom Ministry of Defense is confirming. They say that they have evidence that Russians are actually targeting civilians as they leave these towns. It's something that we've heard from the Ukrainians. We're now hearing it from the British as well. As folks leave these areas, they're now coming to places like Lviv, which our viewers are now familiar with. But this is a city that can really no longer handle things. A city with a population of 700,000 has now become a population of 1 million. 300,000 people have sort of settled here, but there's just no more room. I spent part of the day at a theater, a historic theater here in the city of Lviv, which has become a makeshift shelter. And we're trying to get more on how people make this decision. How do they make the decision to leave? What is the thing that actually forces them to leave? I spoke to a mother of one who was hanging on, she says, for her husband, but then it just became untenable. Here's a little bit of her story, Nicole.
In the moment when we must go, we said that we can't left our husbands there alone, so we must be with them. But when we heard some explosions, we decided that the best way for our children to go out of the war, maybe abroad, best chance.
The other thing that has developed here is folks out of desperation are sending their kids to these borders alone. There's this now famous video of this young boy walking across to Slovenia with a taped note on him with a phone number, and he walked like 4 kilometers to get there. We're hearing more and more of these stories as the situation becomes more and more desperate, and as, of course, families are now being separated. Some are choosing to stay, others are choosing to leave, and we're starting to hear now more and more from people who are leaving because they actually see Russian forces. The woman that I spoke to in that interview actually heard Russian troops moving in on her neighborhood. She was the first person I spoke to who was physically pushed by Russian soldiers out of her neighborhood and had to flee here to the west, Nicole.
It's just, it's a horrific reality that you're bringing to all of us, that these women are, as she said, they're having to choose between their husbands and the potential survival of their children. Is that something you hear from many women? Is that a familiar story in Lviv?
Yes, and there's a conversation happening amongst mothers of how to explain it to their children, and it's just something that hits home for all parents, right? How do you explain to your children what's happening, and do you want them to know? Because I'm asking, children, do you worry about your fathers, and do you worry about what's happening? And some of them kind of look at me strangely because they haven't really been told. They haven't really been told, look, Dad has stayed behind, and he's going to fight the people that forced us out of our home, and the explosions that you heard are still going on there. So you have this very natural thing where you have mothers trying to protect their kids by not really filling them in totally on what's going on and just trying to get them to that next spot. And it's horrific. This is, and I sort of led by saying day 13, a day where we can now mark where people are dying from other things. This is going to be the story moving forward. I mean, 2 million refugees, more than half of them children. Your point about the weather is vitally important. These are going to be people who are sleeping outside. There really is no end in sight. Even if you're in an outdoor encampment, you could be there for months. If the fighting stopped today, you could be there for months or years because the situation has deteriorated so quickly in just 13 days that the humanitarian crisis will last for a long time to come, Nicole.
So much human suffering, these families ripped apart. I think historians are still trying to understand the impact of World War II on bombed cities, on children in the UK, for example, who sheltered with their parents versus children who were sent outside of the cities. This president invoking that very memory today, that hardened scar tissue around Britain's memories of World War II in that speech. Tell me if people around the country heard it, if they're talking about it. What was the response there?
Especially here in Lviv. So this is a city that is never far from its World War II history. It was occupied first by the Germans and then by the Russians. And when the Russians withdrew from this city, they massacred everybody in the prisons. It's a thing that is a part of this city's history. And so people are aware, and they're closer to their history in many ways here in Europe. Because geographically, it's still in your face. You have the statues from World War I that were then damaged by World War II. You have a UNESCO heritage site in this city behind me where the statues from the 15th and 16th century are being wrapped up to be moved again. They've been moved now twice before, World War I and World War II. And so you see this happening again, and you hear it from the president, and he is tapping into this sentiment. He's tapping into this idea that Ukraine is fighting on behalf of Europe, is fighting on behalf of the world, is fighting a fight against Vladimir Putin here so that he doesn't need to be fought there. And it is something that has rallied people to the front. It has rallied them to the fight. I do think, however, that while we talk about how the Russians have been slowed down and that we talk about how the Russians have been bogged down, they're still coming, and they're still shelling these cities, and civilians are still dying. And it doesn't seem like Vladimir Putin is on anyone else's timetable but his own. And you're starting to hear that from President Zelensky, who talks more and more about the need for a no-fly zone, who talks more and more about the need for the West to really start, in his words, stepping it up.
Let me show you some sound. You talked yesterday about the Ukrainian mood turning from shock and horror and grief to anger. And I want to understand if the West is in their sights in terms of feeling frustrated that we're not doing more. Let me play this first. This is Hannah Hopko.
Actually, we cannot just watch how many Ukrainians are dying. I'm asking Biden, I'm asking Congress, please help our nation. Ukrainian victory matters for Moldova, for Georgia, for the free world. I don't understand why we have to convince everybody that this is about humanity.
But of course, a former Ukrainian prime minister on the air with our colleague Katie Tur, an emotional interview, but it does seem to be spilling over, and I wonder what evidence you see of that there.
When I talk to people who've come from Kharkiv, I know they're going to cry. I know they're going to break down because I've spoken to enough people that I know what they saw is, as the mayor has said there, it's hell on earth. I mean, people came above ground in Kharkiv, and much of the city was flattened, and that's true in Mariupol. It's becoming true in Kyiv and in the outskirts of Kyiv. And so you talk to people about this and you say, but what about World War III? What happens if NATO hits Russia and there's World War III? And you can see that World War III has already arrived in this person's eyes and on these people's faces, because for them it was the middle of the night and they had 20 minutes to leave, and they had to grab their things and they had to take their kids and they had to put them in a car and they had to get that car to a train station, and then that train had to get here, and all along the way bombs were falling and guns were going going off and people were dying around them. So by the time they get here, people are so shell-shocked, and they've had such an ordeal, a hellish ordeal of just surviving, and they've seen people die around them. And they're feeling very lucky that they're here, of course, but they left loved ones behind. And so for them, the broader geopolitical discussion is lost on people. And it's totally understandable why, because they've been seeing this war in their front yards, and their front yards are no longer their front yards. There's probably Russian soldiers in their houses. So for them, it's already been a home lost, and it's already fallen apart. The jets with Poland is fascinating. Poland is going to hand these jets over to the United States, and then we'll see what happens. So you have this very obvious hesitation on behalf of the Americans, on behalf of NATO, to widen this war, because the NATO Secretary General says it will actually save lives by not implementing a no-fly zone so this war doesn't widen. But here on the ground, without a no-fly zone, these Russian jets are picking apart these cities, and the people who are left in these cities are either civilians that have stayed to fight or civilians that are just trying to survive in these basements. So that's the problem here, is that people want that no-fly zone because their immediate concern is to save lives here on the ground.